And I remember immediately like bolting out of the kitchen to be like, don't you ever call me that in your life. But it was like probably the first time in my life where I was like, oh shit, like I've lost it.
This is my podcast. Hi everybody, I'm Jaci Terjeson. Welcome to the manic world of Jaci Terj. That's me. I'm your manic girly from another whirly. And this pod is all about talking to stand-up comedians, my friends, and talking about times that they have fully lost it and come unhinged, because we all have, and we got to have these juicy little secrets to get us going, to get some dopamine running through our system. So today, on the pod, I have one of my favorite Portland people. She is currently this weekend opening for Maria Bamford at the Wet City Comedy Festival. She's open for Roy Wood Jr., Tim Meadows, and she's just a Portland gem who everybody loves. So let's give it up for Imani Denae.
Yay.
Woo! And by let's give it up, I mean both of us. Give it up for you. Hi, thanks for being on the pod.
I'm excited. I don't do a lot of podcasts, so this is fun.
This is the start. This is going to get you going.
Yes.
I told you this is your big break. So I have a lot of industry who listen to this podcast that's not released yet. So how have your shows been with Maria so far?
So far it's just one, but it's been great. She's really sweet. She's like super chill. I don't know how to describe it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It's funny, she asked me, she's like, what is something that you're nervous about? And I was like, I just want to make sure the words come out of my mouth. And she was like, that's a good idea.
Like when you're on stage.
Yeah. I was just like, I want to make sure words actually come out of my mouth.
That's important in stand-up, to say words.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes.
I mean, sometimes you could go up there and mime.
That's true. That's true. That's a merging of art forms, but it could work. That's cool. Anything else you've been doing that you've been excited about?
I have just been working, like doing a lot more shows that pay better, which is nice. It's
girl.
It's good at that moment where you start to raise your income.
Yeah.
Like, ooh, comedy actually could pay like
For real.
over $100. Okay.
Snap.
You can do 10 minutes for over $100. That's nice. That's something I've experienced in the last month or so. I'm like, oh, I love this.
Good for you.
This is nice. And then also, I'm going to LA. I'm going to perform in LA for the first time ever. And so that's exciting. And then also going on the road. So
lots of good
nice.
things.
Yeah.
What show are you doing in LA?
I'm performing at the Ice House.
Nice.
Yeah.
Last time I performed there recently, and they said it was the oldest comedy club in the nation.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Don't fact check me, or maybe do, but that's what I heard.
I heard they remodeled. I mean, I don't know anything about the
Right.
Ice House, so, but I'm very excited. I'm trying to mentally prepare myself for it, which, I mean, I'm only doing 5 minutes, but sometimes when you do like a shorter amount of time, it's more intense than if you do more. I don't know what it is. Like even the contest, I was like,
Seattle International Comedy Competition.
I was like, dang, this small amount of time feels like the most amount of pressure.
It's so hard. I know. I did a 3-minute set recently, and I'm like, how do you even? I was more nervous for that than anything else, because I'm like, and I have long form jokes. A lot of my jokes, I'm like, I can't. So I tried to squeeze in like a long joke, and it's just like so rushed and messy.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's tough. Well, I'm excited for you. Okay, let's get into it. Should we get into it?
Yeah.
Okay. I want to know first of all, are you kind of an emotional person?
Yes, I think I am emotional and sensitive. I feel like a lot of people see me and then they don't think I feel anything because I have lower energy than most people.
They're like, she seems cold-hearted. No.
Well, I don't even know if people think I'm cold-hearted as much as I think that they don't know what to think. They're like, oh, she seems like high or something. I don't know. People used to say that to me a lot in high school. They're like, are you high? And I was like, I don't even smoke weed.
Because you're just chill. You're chilled out. Yeah.
I'm mellow, but mostly just because I hide my sensitivity to things.
Okay. So it's happening, but you're don't
I live
it
up
out.
here.
Very Elsa from Frozen. Don't let them
Yes,
in.
conceal.
Don't let them see. Yes,
Don't
conceal,
feel.
don't feel. Ah,
Don't let them know.
Classic Elsa. Ice Queen, Ice House. It's all coming around.
Yes.
Okay, so people say you're chill. Never had anyone say that to me in my life. If anything, they're like, you should smoke weed because this is too much. But I'm loving. So you feel like you're internally emotional. Was your like growing up emotional house? Or
Yeah, I'm like one of 7, and so like the household was like really busy. There's a lot of people, and everyone's loud. There's a lot of yelling. My parents were young parents, so I think that actually affected how their parenting style was. And so,
wait, like how young?
Like my mom, like was taking care of 7 kids at 28.
What?
So
that's wild. Where are you in the lineup?
I'm number 5.
Okay.
And yeah, having young parents made it a lot more stressful because they handled everything with yelling and hitting, and it was like a bit much. I remember I was 90s. Very 90s. I was a crybaby a lot as a kid. Like that's what I would get bullied for a while, and then I decided to stop doing that in front of people as a way to like stop being called that. You know? Yeah. But I was like a crybaby at home. I was a crybaby at school. Yeah. My parents even would start to bully the crybaby out of me. So I was like, okay, well then I'm just not going to say anything and like basically let myself implode.
Right. On the inside.
Yeah, well, sometimes it would seep out because I didn't say anything.
How can it not? If it's just like boiling inside. That's wild. Okay, so wait. So I'm just like thinking of this as the parents. Like you have a crybaby, as you call it, a very emotionally expressive child. Yeah. And you're like, listen, we've tried to be kind. We've tried like all this parenting mumbo jumbo. I guess the only thing left we have to do is bully them and see if that works. That's so
literally,
funny.
my dad would just be like, stop crying.
Yeah, I'll give you something to cry about.
Literally.
Yes.
And I was like, well, I think that you did. I was like, I know you could give me. Yeah, I was like, I know you could give me something to cry about because you just did. So there's evidence. I don't think that's wrong. You can give me things to cry about. Thanks, Dad.
So how old were you? Do you think when you were like, I'm just gonna shut her down? I think it had to be like 8 or 9 or something like that. Yeah. It might have been more in middle school too, because like in middle school I started to get like bullied, and like it was like bully. Like I call it like early 2000s movie bully. Like kids hit you, kids like throw things at you. Put worms in your dreams. Yeah, call you things. Yeah. Steal your notebooks and write bad things about you, which is what happened to me. Slap you in the chest because you're flat-chested, which was a crazy thing that kids used to do at my school in middle school. And where did you go to school? That's insane.
I went to school on a military base in Texas.
Oh, okay. It's making sense. Okay, military base and Texas. I could see slapping the chest.
Yeah. People would just hit you. It was like, in that time, I would cry a lot about all this stuff, but then my parents started to be like, stop it. Stop crying.
Do you think it was because they couldn't like handle it themselves, like the noise, or do you think it was like they could see how it was affecting you socially?
I think they could see that how it was affecting me socially, but they also were like, you need to either do something about it or shut up. Yeah. I was like, are you just going to be a victim, or are you going to actually like handle it? Because I was like, I'd tell teachers and stuff and it just didn't end. And so my parents were like, well, my mom worked for a juvenile detention center. And so she's like, if you get in a fight, you're going to go to juvie. And so I was like extra afraid to like do anything about it because I was like, I'm going to go to juvie. I remember I told this girl that she was like wanted to fight me, and I started crying, and I was like, you don't understand. If I fight you, I'm going to juvie.
Oh my gosh, that was like such a reality in your mind.
Yeah, it was like something I was totally afraid of, and I think also it probably made her think I was tough because I was like, I'm going to beat you up and go to juvie.
I am going to beat the shit out of you so bad that I will get sent away. Wow, she was like, fine. Here's your notebooks.
Exactly.
That's wild. Wow.
But it truly didn't, it wasn't because of that. I was like, I'm going to get beat up and my mom is still going to send me to juvie.
Yeah, I will try to fight you. I will lose and get my ass beat, and then I'll go to juvie after that. Wow. That's crazy. That's wild.
So I decided, because, like, my parents weren't taking it as seriously, and, like, the school wasn't, to just, like, stop bringing it up and stop talking about it, because it's, like, no one's doing anything.
Oh my gosh.
And so it was, I know, it's like really sad, but I was like, I'll just eat this pain.
And then do you feel like you reached a place at some point where you were like, oh shit, I'm like really shut down emotionally. I should like.
It wasn't until I was like 21 years old where I was like, oh, I have been suppressing so many emotions that they need to come out. Like, I feel stuff that I'm not telling anybody about.
Yeah.
Especially, like, my opinions on people. Like, when someone breaks a boundary, I'm just like, oh, whatever. Like, I realized, like, I was telling one of my friends, I was like, remember that one friend that I was really close with and now I don't talk to her? Why did I let her abuse me for so long?
That's
like,
wild.
She was mean to me. She would talk about me, all of these things.
She'd write in your notebooks.
Probably. She seems like the girl, but she would be super mean to me, and I would just like take it and like forgive. I would get mad, but I would like forgive her and stay friends with her and stuff. And I was like, I don't know why I did that. I just didn't have like the backbone to take care of myself. And so it was like, it wasn't until I was 21 where I ended up having like a mental health crisis. And then I was like,
spicy.
Then I was like, oh shit. Like, I have a little bit more control than I was letting myself believe I had.
Oh, that's so empowering.
Yeah, it was empowering, but it was also, like, kind of terrible. like, the circumstances that led to, like, that awakening weren't, like, the best.
Weren't your favorite.
Yeah.
Right. But then you opened up. Do you want to talk about that? Or is that, like... I mean, you know, a synopsis.
I was dating somebody who I wasn't sure about. Yeah. And my parents got divorced, and I moved in with my mom, who then moved to Hillsborough, and all my friends lived in Portland.
I played an airsoft arena there before.
Hillsborough's fine. It's like, it's just out there. It's like 40 minutes from the city. Yeah. I didn't drive, so I'd have to take public transit just to hang out with my friends. And I started to feel really isolated at the time. Yeah. And like my boyfriend at the time had a way of like being like really friendly with people. So he was like cool with my parents, cool with my siblings, cool with like my family members. And so I also felt like I couldn't leave him because he's cool with everyone. And my brother had recently gone back to prison after getting released. So it was just like all these different things piled up on top of me. And I think I experienced mania for the first time. Yeah. And so I didn't know what to do with that mania.
So on brand for this pod.
Exactly. I didn't know what to do with the mania that I felt. So I remember going on Bumble Friends. And like making a friend with some girl I met on Bumble.
This is what you did in your manic state. You made friends.
I made a friend with this random girl who lived in Beaverton, and she was like, "You want to go to the club?" And I went clubbing with her for like 4 days, and I don't even remember.
You didn't even leave. You helped the staff clean in between the
basically,
days.
I was like, I don't know that I actually went home any of those 4 days, if I can remember correctly. Like, I don't think I even went home.
Was this your first time meeting her?
Yeah, the first time meeting her, we went to the club together.
For 4 days.
And basically for 4 days. Wow. And I remember...
What kind of club? Like Sam's Club? Or...
dance clubs. A bunch of different dance clubs. And I was drinking a lot in that time. And then I remember going back home and going to sleep. And then I remember getting a call, like waking up from sleep from a call, being like, "You're late to work." And I was like, oh, shit. And I got ready to go to work. I was exhausted. Yeah. And then I left work after my shift to go home, and I went back to sleep. Mm-hmm. And then I don't know what happened, but when I woke up, I lost it. Oh. I was, like, crying. I started to, like... in bed? Like, I was just in my room. I was, crying a bunch, and then I decided I didn't want to live anymore. Yeah. And it was, like... I don't know what flipped the switch so drastically. Yeah. But it was like probably the first time in my life where I was like, oh shit. Like I've lost it. Like, yeah. And then the next day, because I was freaking out. I wanted to die. I told a bunch of people that I was, like, going to hurt myself.
Yeah.
And then I remember my boyfriend at the time was like, you need to go to bed. And so I went back to sleep.
Yeah.
And when I woke up, Anthony Bourdain had killed himself. And I remember, like, immediately thinking, oh, I need to say something. Because I was going to do that.
Right. So it made it feel more real.
Yeah. I was like, oh,
wow.
that's probably where I was, is, like, exactly where he was. And so I told my mom. And my mom, like, kind of cried. She was, like, really upset. Yeah. And so she took me to the hospital. And I went into inpatient or whatever. And I don't remember why, but I was angry. I was so unbelievably mad that I ended up here. And, they took my shoes. Like,
physically there, or, like, just there in that mental state?
I think, like, there in the mental state, but also just physically there as in the building. I had, like, so many people talk to me. Like, so many people came to talk to me.
People from your life?
Well, just from the hospital staff and stuff. Yeah. Like a social worker, therapist, psychiatrist, like, staff members. Like, it was just so many people talking to me that I just, like, started to get, like, attitude. And I didn't expect to be there for, like, 7 or 8 hours. Yeah. And so it was, like, a huge shock to me that you'd even be in the hospital that long. Right. And so I was just getting angry. Yeah. I remember they offered me a sandwich, and I was like, oh, yeah, I'll take a sandwich. Didn't bring me the sandwich. And I'm trapped in this room with a glass window, kind of like this room. Yeah. There's nothing but, like, plastic furniture, and they didn't give me a blanket.
Perfect for somebody who's having a mental breakdown.
And, like, there's a window that they can watch me. Yeah. And I just was like, this is awful. I remember sitting on the, like, little plastic bed and, like, not looking at the window. I was like, if I don't look at this window, then I can't just randomly glance at someone, because that's not what I want to do.
Yeah. It's just, it's like a window into the facility or whatever. Yeah. Okay.
And I could see them in another room with a window. So I was like, well, come give me my fucking sandwich.
That's insane. So you were there for 7 or 8 hours?
Yeah, 7 or 8 hours. And then they determined that I didn't need to be, like, in there, but I still needed to go through counseling. So they put me in outpatient counseling for a month. Okay. So I got to go home.
You could go home, and then you came back. Yeah. How many, like every day? Or
every single day.
Wow. For a month?
For a month. Except for, like, the weekends. But every day I would go in there, and I would be there for 8 hours.
You'd be there for 8 hours?
Yeah, it was like going to work. It was a whole shift.
Wow, you must have had some really good insurance, though.
Yeah, just OHP, you know, that's like the Oregon Health Plan.
Wow, my insurance would be like, you get 20 minutes.
I remember when I hurt my back, I only got 6 appointments of physical therapy with my
They're like, it's broken in 400 places, but
just we can fix it in 6 days.
Use this, like, belly band and you'll be fine.
Literally.
Wow. So do you feel like, how do you, like, where did you go from there? And how successful did you feel like going in and getting all that help was?
I don't feel like it was super, super successful. I met cool people in therapy, but I remember, like, there was this, like, underlying rule that they would kind of tell us without saying it completely, but they would be like, don't make friends here.
They're like, you're not here to make friends, you're here to win.
Basically, but there's this thing where they're like, 2 mentally ill people should not be, like, spending a ton of their time together.
If that's the case, I would have no friends.
Truly, I wouldn't have any friends either. But, like, I remember it wasn't even really that session that helped me, like, understand my mental health. I mean, they put me on medication and like, taught me different, like, self-care things. When you feel like this, you should do this or whatever.
Tools.
Like, giving me different tools and stuff. But it wasn't until I decided I didn't want to live with my mom anymore in Hillsborough. So I moved in with this girl who I met through therapy. Okay. And she was in there because of her depression. I got diagnosed with bipolar. Okay. And so living with her, she would be depressed, and I wouldn't always be depressed. Right. Like, our personalities would never really match.
Yeah, you guys wouldn't sync up.
Yeah, and almost never. She was very mean. Like, she would yell, and she'd get mad at me. And in that time, I just, like, would constantly, like, get angry back. And so it got to one point where she, like, called me, and I lost it.
That's
I remember like I was cooking something in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And me and my friend had smoked weed earlier in the day, and we were sitting and watching TV. And so I knocked off the remote from the couch. The batteries fell out.
Yeah.
I put them back in.
Right.
Went into the kitchen, we're cooking or whatever.
Yeah.
And then she comes home from work, goes to change what we had on the TV, which also I was like, you know that someone's, even though I'm in the kitchen, we were watching that.
Yeah.
Like, why would you go to change the TV? But then she's like, why are the batteries in here upside down? What are you? And I remember immediately like bolting out of the kitchen to be like, don't you ever call me that in your life. Like, watch the way you speak to me. I'm like getting tired of you. Like, I just went off on her.
Oh my God.
And I don't think it clicked in her head because I had to do it again and go off on her for being rude to me in an Uber. And
it sounds like you guys were not a great fit.
No, I actually moved out and I took all of my things in the middle of the night, like every single thing.
In the middle of the night?
Basically, she was at work and I took everything.
Wow, that would be crazy to come home and be like, wait a second, something's different here.
It's because I called my dad because she pissed me off one day and I was like, Dad, I'm gonna fight her. Like, I'm gonna.
He's like, no, you'll go to juvie. Don't do it.
It was like the first time I was like, I want to hit her so bad.
Well, good for you for like being able to like get, you know what I mean? Like get to a place where you're aware. That can be hard. I don't know.
I also felt bad because I was like, I've never felt like I wanted to, like, you know, you jokingly want to hit a stranger, but like I never felt like, oh, if she keeps on being mean to me,
that's how it's
the only thing that I could think of to stop her from being mean to me is to hit her. And then she'll realize I'm not playing. Stop being mean to me.
Right.
But also, if I did that, then I can't live there anymore.
Right. And you might catch a charge.
I know. So I was like, I should probably just move out because that's the smartest thing to do in that situation. But yeah, just in that moment, being her roommate taught me so much about like actually speaking up for myself and not just letting somebody just bulldoze me. And then from that on, I was just like, well, no one's going to talk to me like that. No one's going to treat me badly. No one's going to do like anything that I don't want them to do.
So if somebody did something like that to you now, what would you do? Like, how would your response be different?
Oh, I would respond immediately.
Yeah.
Always be like, oh, don't talk to me like that. Or I remember if someone's mean around me and I don't like what they said, number one thing I'll be like is yikes. Like, that's like
that's like, good. Yikes. That's like kind of like catches somebody off guard.
Yeah. Like, or even if they say something that's kind of sharp to me, I'll just be like, yikes. Like, what did I? Like, because I want them to know that what they said, it had like, I heard it and I heard it away. So it's just like.
That's good because it's not like aggressive. It's not coming at them, but it's like, ooh, it gets a point across.
Yeah.
I like yikes.
Because I want them to know, I'm like, I didn't really love what just came out of your mouth.
Right.
So I feel like yikes is the best way to be like, oh, whatever you just said, it wasn't cool.
It was yikey.
It was, I was like, it was yikes.
That's cool. Yeah, that's cool. I try that with my kids sometimes. I go, I don't do yikes, but I go, ooh, that made me feel sad. And then my 4-year-old would just be like, good. So that doesn't work in my house, but maybe there's other things. I'm scared. I'm personally victimized by a 4-year-old. But she sounds very much like your last roommate.
Just mean to you.
She's so mean. But, 4-year-olds be like that.
Yeah.
They're mean. They're mean as hell.
You have a COVID baby.
Yeah, I do have a COVID baby. So
they're different. They are very different.
She's built in a way that like she's small, but she could do some damage in like, a Walmart. She could like hurt people. She could steal things, and she could get away with all of it because she's 4 and she's so cute.
That's like my niece is 4, and I'm almost certain she has ADHD, but it's too. I don't know if it's too early to tell, but I was like, I had ADHD, so I'm like, I'm pretty sure she does. She cannot sit still to save her life, and she's constantly like throwing herself around.
She needs some pillows to the back.
And we realized recently that she's like deaf in one of her ears. And so I was like, oh, maybe she's not a bad kid. She's just...
she just doesn't hear you.
She can't hear us when we tell her to stop doing things.
Yeah. She's like, nobody say anything. They must want me to keep kicking the dog. This is crazy. Wow, that's nuts. ADHD group. We love it. Yes. We love it. So, okay, so you were diagnosed with bipolar. Mm-hmm. Is that something you still, resonate with?
Yeah, I mean, I like took a second to understand like borderline personality disorder, and I was like, what if I have that instead of bipolar? Yeah. But I've just accepted the diagnosis, and I've been medicated for like the last 6 years. For it, and it's That's helped. Awesome. Like the only times I crash out now is like if I'm been without it for a long period of time. Or if something tragic happens, then I just like the medication doesn't do anything to stop.
You're like, wait, can we not have this can we medicate this tragic situation away, please? Yeah, that's crazy. Manic though. I feel like I have a love-hate with manic episodes because I get so much done. Yeah, that's the thing. It's like I get so much done, or I just feel more motivated or something in those moments, or I just watch TV. I feel like I don't really watch TV when I'm depressed, but when I'm manic, I just can't stop. I binge so much. That's crazy. I'll just sit there and watch like 9 episodes a day of something. Will you stay up late? Yeah. I'll stay till like 5 a.m. Yes. If I get really manic, I will like, the burnout is so bad, but like in it, I'm like, wow, maybe this is who I am. I'm so powerful. I can do anything. And I definitely get those feelings of grandeur or whatever they call it. Yeah, grandeur, grandiose. Yeah. But I start to think I'm the best person ever. Nobody can touch me. I'm better than like that girl who like used to bully me. I just remember thinking like, if you do anything to me, no one's gonna get mad at me. If I do anything back. No one's going to get mad at me if I do anything back, or they're just going to know that you're a bitch and they're going to be mad at you for even being mean to me because I'm so great and I'm so well liked that everyone is against you because I'm the best. Like, I love it. I feel like to be a comic, you have to have like a slight underlining of the attitude. Don't you think? You have to like yourself, but also hate yourself, but also have some sort of delusion in between there that like that either people are talking shit about you or that you're better than everyone else. Yeah. I mean, nailed it 100%. That's why comedy shows are either like amazing or the worst thing you've ever seen. There's like barely any in between. Let's see. What else can we talk about? So my question is, what helps you calm down? Like if you lose it. Is there another story that you had of you losing it or anything that you want to share? There was just this one time where, like, I got diagnosed with anxiety, which I always thought, like, that was weird to me to get diagnosed with anxiety because I thought it was under the same umbrella as bipolar. Yeah. And so they diagnosed me with it, and they were like, okay, you got to go pick up this medication from Fred Meyers. We just sent it over, and I was like, okay. Shout out to Kroger. Yes. I went to Fred Meyers to pick up my medication, and they were like, we can't give it to you because we don't have it here, and we have to order it. Not even, like, order the medication actually itself, like the prescription. And so that could take about a week or so, and I was like, what? Because you were like so... Because I was already dealing with some anxious moments that kept popping up. And this felt like, this is really going to help me in this moment. This is exactly what I need. And so when they told me that they didn't have it, and I remember getting a text message saying that it was done or something. Yeah. Which is the only reason why I went there in the first place. And they didn't have it, and I remember getting super upset and being like, okay, that's fine. And like I left, and I called my stepmom, and I was bawling. I was like... they don't have my medication. This is the worst thing ever. And I'm sitting on the ground outside of a Fred Meyers. Like, oh, my God. I was picturing you in your car. No, I'm sitting on the floor, like, directly outside of the Fred Meyers. Right in the path of the doors, so the doors keep opening and closing. I'm not sitting on, like, a bench or anything. I'm sitting on the ground. And I'm crying on the phone, and, like, my hands are in my head, and I was, like, super, super upset. And I remember a homeless man, like, he asked me for money. In that moment. And I was like, can't you see I'm on the phone? You're like, read the freaking room. And then he, like, doesn't move. And I'm still on the phone, like, upset. Yeah. And he's just standing above me. And I was like, get the fuck away from me. Go away. Leave now. Get out of my face. Like, I just lost it. Yeah. While I'm on the phone with my stepmom. She's like, she's just like, I'm going to come pick you up. I was like, thanks. Thank you. Wait, so what did he do? He, like, still sit there?
No, he kind of like walked away a little bit.
Wow.
But like any person, like I'm sitting by the entrance of a Fred Meyers on the ground outside. Like any person seeing this is like, oh shit.
Like she's having a day.
She's having a day, and this homeless man. To me, I'm like, how dare you ask me for money when you see a girl crying on the floor?
Yeah.
And you're like, hey, you guys some.
I think the last person I would ask money from is somebody I see just sitting on the ground, just there. I'd be like,
do you need some money?
Right. That's what I thought you were going to say. I thought you were going to say he came over and like wanted to help you. Oh my, the crazy part about that story is that is literally what I experience every time I go to a Fred Meyer is somebody yelling at home or like somebody sitting down. Just that whole like dynamic. There's always something. I don't know why. Fred Meyer.
It's the place to scream.
It is. Yeah. Oh God. They should. Those like retreats that like just insufferable white women go to where they pay a bunch of money so they can scream. Have you heard of this?
I haven't, but I've heard of like the silence ones. Like people spend a bunch of money just to stop talking.
Yeah, it's the exact opposite. Where you go, you pay a bunch of money, and you go and you can just like guttural scream somewhere. But like they should think about doing that in a Fred Meyer because
scream in the grocery store. I can do that.
And you can do your grocery shopping at the same time. So it's like
in the line for the pharmacy is the best place to start screaming.
Oh. That's a line. I feel like the line for the pharmacy is...
Yeah, I want to say the line was extra long that day, too. So it's like, it took me forever to get up there. Then they told me they didn't have my medication. And it's just like layer on top of layer. I was already like dealing with something before going to the pharmacy.
There's never a good time either to go. Like, you're never like, I have a day free. What should I do? I guess I'll go to the pharmacy. It's never like that. It's like, there's so much going on. It's the worst day to go.
Yeah.
That's wild.
But yeah, I definitely burned out. I felt a little embarrassed in the moment, but also I was like, it's justified. He shouldn't have been talking to me. It
felt good.
Yeah, the part that pissed me off, and the only reason I yelled is because he didn't like get the hint that I didn't need him to be around me, and the fact that he just stood there. Yeah, I was like, oh no, you have to go.
Right. He's like hovering over you.
Yeah. I'm sitting on the ground and you're standing over me. Right. Not moving. So
you're like, why don't you give me money at this point for this interaction? You owe me now.
Yeah.
That's what I just said.
It's funny though. My stepmom, she was like, I'm coming. Just, it's going to be a little bit. She's like, maybe you should go back inside. And I was like, I'm not doing that.
You're like, they won't actually let me back in. I can't shop here anymore. Kroger! Fred, please forgive me.
I just get 86'd. It's Portland, so you can't really yell at the homeless. So I was just like,
right. You yelled at an unhoused man.
Yeah.
Canceled. Immediately. And then you're like, I'm having a mental health crisis. They're like, now we don't know which one is superior. Wow. One time I found a human molar at a Fred Meyer.
What's a human molar?
Like a molar from a human, like one of the big teeth. Oh. It was fully out. It was the entire, there was no meat on it or anything. It was clean. It was in like a planter box. Yeah, it's wild. Oh, okay, I'll tell you. You want one more Fred Meyer story? I don't know about Portland, but the Fred Meyer in Tacoma is wild. It's not a place you want to bring children. You know what I mean?
We've got a few of those in Portland.
Yeah, it's a little crazy. One time, I was sitting in my car. I don't know what I was doing. I was like waiting for a pickup, or I was picking up groceries or something. And I watched this person. They're meandering through the parking lot, first of all, which is just like, what's up? What do you got going on here in the parking lot? Like, what is good here? He's just walking through. Obviously, he's looking at cars because he wants to see like what's going on in there. He stops by a car. First of all, I also see him digging in his pants. And then smelling it. This is not this sort of podcast, but it's going there. Yeah. Okay. So he's trying to check out what's good under the hood of his own life. And then after he is getting his hands real germy, real juicy, he opens somebody's car and it's like rifling through stuff. So first of all, just germs everywhere. And then he grabs like their journals, like planners. He's like stealing planners from these people. And that's it. And he walked away. But I'm like, first of all, these people are going to miss all their appointments. And then they're going to get pink eye because they're going to have like these poop germs all over. Ew. And then I was like, maybe I don't need these groceries. I know. I was like, should I like say something? And then I'm like, I'm not going to get involved.
Yeah. I was like, you can always scare them.
Yeah.
by honking at them. I saw somebody like hit a woman, and I was like, like
that's crazy.
It's like,
out of Fred Meyers. It was Fred.
Fred's hitting his wife. Yeah. Fred Meyer hits his wife. I want you to know.
They're my sponsor. We can't say that.
Oh, sorry. Kroger.
Kroger is against domestic violence. We just want to go on record. And, you know, they're for women. I don't know.
Allegedly.
We'll have to, all of this is alleged. We'll have to look this up later. So when you're feeling like manic or those big feelings now, is there something that like a go-to that like helps you like calm down, or is it better to just let it out? Or
I feel like being around people, like just being in a social setting will help me, like when I'm, at least in the depressive episodes of it. But if I'm manic, just watching TV, spending time at home, or inviting people to my home, which I don't usually do on a regular basis. But if I let people come inside, then I'm like, oh, we can hang out and be chill here.
Yeah.
I'm no use to the public sometimes. So it's just like, let's just chill in my comfort zone. I'll just like be home, I think.
Yeah.
Or I have ADHD, so there's a lot of times where I'll pick up a new hobby or craft or something.
That's do you have one right now?
There's one I want to pursue, but I haven't.
Spill the beans.
I want to.
You like go-kart racing. I'm really going to be.
Well, I've been looking at a lot of like beads and necklaces and beaded art and stuff like that on the internet. I'm like, oh, what if I became like a beater or something? Like that could be cool.
Bead, not beater.
Yeah, beater.
She's going from beater to beater.
Yes. I made jewelry and stuff like that.
Yeah, or and like, then you could hit people with your jewelry.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding.
I could sell it as my merch. I'm like, look, I made
that's
jewelry.
True.
But then that's too much fucking work to make a bunch of jewelry to sell as merch. But that, and like I have a lot of coloring books in my cart on Amazon, but I don't ever like buy them.
Yeah.
Because I like coloring books. I think they're kind of cool.
Yeah.
Like, the simpler, the better, in my opinion. Yeah. I did buy one of these expensive, like $14, $15 coloring books.
Yeah.
It was too complicated.
Yeah, too much work for one page.
I colored one page, and luckily Amazon still accepted the return.
You colored one page and they took it back?
Yeah, one full page.
Good.
I colored it, and I was like, this was too much. It wasn't for me. It was more like a color pencil and marker type colored book, not like a just marker or just color pencil.
They wanted multimedia.
Yeah, it was like I even Googled the coloring book to see how other people have colored it, and I was like, oh, I didn't color it like that.
There.
Yeah.
That's
coloring
cool.
is nice. I did it in therapy when I was an outpatient.
Yeah.
Mostly because I didn't like listening to people talk. And so, like, I would sit in our group therapy sessions and just, like, color something.
I feel like that's a good ADHD, like, stem. Yeah. Like, just coloring or doodling and stuff.
Yeah, because I was like, I'm listening. I hear you.
Yeah.
But I just don't want to look at you and pay attention too much to you. Because if I'm staring at you, then I'm thinking about you in way more ways than just what you're saying.
Sexually. No, I'm kidding.
Hey, maybe. It's just, I'm like, oh, her eyes are far apart.
Me? Oh, no. I love coloring, too. And I just recently, I'll try to color with my kids. And if I sit down and I'm, like, really getting into it, my 4-year-old will always be like, I want to color this with you. And then I'm like, must release control of this thing that doesn't matter. It's going to go in the trash anyway. And then I'm like, no, this is for me. It looks beautiful. You're going to ruin it. No, I'm always like, sure, you can have it. But
fine. Okay.
Yeah. Then she won't hit me as much later. No. That's cool. I like coloring too. I was trying to think of other times I've lost
matches.
Matches. You're into matches. Playing with fire has been a hobby.
Not really playing.
We're worried.
I was like, not really playing with it, but like I remember when I was in therapy, my therapist told me I should get a box of things that are self-care items to me, and so I had one. I don't have it anymore, but
just light arsony, just like lighting, just not buildings, but like dumpsters on fire. It's really
I mean, I like it. I think it helps. It's therapeutic to watch fire, but
no, it is for sure.
My box, it had like matches. It had a candle in there because I like scents.
Yeah.
And it had weed in there.
Mm-hmm.
What else was in there? It was like, oh, gum.
Oh.
Yeah, chewing gum.
Gum is good.
So those are like my therapeutic
So wait, so what
things.
would you do with the matches? Just like flick them and watch them burn?
Yeah, just flick them.
Nice.
And I like the smell.
Yeah.
Which is weird, maybe.
Yeah, it's good for a fart. Post-fart.
It's like
there's so much potty talk in this episode.
Did you know that they have like what do you call it? Incense matches?
Yeah.
And you just like, it's in a matchbook and you just do it and then it's a scent of like lavender or roses. Or
that's cool.
I saw them on Amazon, but they're kind of expensive. But I was like, I should buy it anyway.
You should. Brent should buy it for you.
Yeah. It's in my wish list. He has access to my wish list on Amazon.
Step it up.
He was like, what do you want for Christmas? I was like, I have a wish list.
You're like, matches. Okay, that's what I want. People are like, oh, let's go with something safer. No. That's cool. Matches are good. I feel like scents can really like, if I ever feel like I'm like spiraling, it's like salty foods, scent, like really big scents, getting outside. Like if I can do those things, maybe that helps. The cold air, you know?
Yeah. I need to start doing that is like if I'm feeling either really depressed or even manic to get out of my house.
Yeah.
Like it's hard. I live in the attic room, so I'm like, oh God, 4
you
flights
live in
of
the
stairs.
attic?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Just like 4 flights of stairs just to go outside.
Yeah.
I shouldn't eat. Like, where's my stick of gum?
Yeah.
I'm hungry. Just choose on
Just
gum.
chew it because you're like, I'm not walking it. The good news about taking a walk is like if you're like upset or depressed and you go take a walk, you can still be upset or depressed afterwards. You know what I mean? It's like, but you got your steps in.
Yeah. Plus it's
just but most of the time you feel better.
Yeah. And it's like a change of scenery kind of helps because if you sit and sulk, it's like the worst. I've gotten moments from like sitting and sulking and like just letting the world be heavy on my shoulders. And it's like those are the moments when you do end up like having a crisis,
right?
Is when you just let the whole
entire
world just
internal.
Yeah.
How do you react like when someone's around you is losing it? What's your like?
Used to
instinct?
like when someone was texting me and they're like, I'm going through a lot and they're like losing it through text. I remember I used to send them like, do you want a distraction, or do you want someone to listen, or do you want help?
Oh my God, you're so healthy, Imani.
I would say one of those things. But, like, now in person, because most of the time people just tweak in person in front of me. Right. It's not through text message anymore.
It's the way it used to be, the way God intended.
I was like, I wish it was through text message. But
you're like, can you step out of the room and just message this to me?
But now in person, I don't know. I try to be a distraction to people because it's easier than to, like, actually do anything about it. I remember my friend, she was like, my parents are going to end up getting a divorce. And she was, like, crying about it. And I remember I took a piece of toilet paper and I set it on fire. And she stopped crying. And I was like, oh, thank God.
She's like, what just happened?
She's like, thank God. She snapped out of it. I was like, now there's a crisis in this room.
I'm seeing a pattern.
Yeah. It's just...
that should be reported. No, I'm kidding.
But I think the distraction sometimes helps people because, like, when you feel like you're at, like, the very, very bottom or at the edge of, like, huge crisis mode, distractions kind of snap you out of it.
That's
even
so
if
true.
they're bad, even if, like, the distraction ends up... Like, I remember I was really depressed. I called Britt to come over to, like, be with me because I was, like, losing my mind.
Yeah.
And, like, as he's talking to me, I hear this loud sound outside. I go in my living room and watch a car smack into the back of my car.
What?
And I was like, well, I'm not depressed anymore. I'm angry. So it was, like, I remember being in so much shock.
Yeah.
Because I saw it. Yeah. I was like, I wish that maybe I just ignored it and didn't see it.
Right.
But to watch your car get smacked into...
That's crazy. Did the person drive off?
Yeah. I watched them drive away.
Of course they did.
And I was like,
they're talking about that car crash on a different podcast right now.
Yeah.
Like, and then I crashed it, and then I, like, drove off. Wow, that's crazy. And I heard if you're, like, in, like, if you're having a panic attack or anything like that, if you hold, like, ice or, like, eat something cold, it'll, like... Because it's probably even seeing, like, a car crash is, like, lighting something different up in your brain. Yeah. So then your brain's able to, like, boop, go over there.
Exactly.
I know this is about brain science now. Yeah. I'm, like, a scientist.
It's like literally my brain jumped from one part to the other. It's like oh, you thought you were depressed and suicidal? No, actually, you're angry.
You're mad.
And
but
maybe murderous, too.
I feel like those emotions are so connected.
Yeah.
Wow, that's wild. I feel like if I see somebody lose it, like somebody I don't know in real life.
I think it's funny.
I do too. I feel bad, but like I get a twinkle in my eye and I'm like, oh shit, what is about to happen?
I remember watching the video, you could watch it on YouTube.
Yeah.
But of the guy who drove his car through the Portland Rose Festival.
Oh my God, don't watch that. I'm not condoning, but go on.
It's so funny because, like, you see him in traffic and he's like, he has a dash cam, which is why it's so crazy. Like,
wow.
Not only did you drive through a parade, but you have a dash cam on your car that's facing you, and we can see your entire reaction and, like, your whole entire, like,
that is
self-change.
Crazy.
So he's, like, driving. He's mad that there's an exit closed.
Yeah.
And there's traffic even getting to the exit that he wants to go to. He's like, this exit is closed, and it's my exit. And he's, like, yelling on the phone with someone. Yeah. And he just drives through the closed exit.
Yeah.
Like, people are construction workers or whatever are, like, moving out of the way so you could drive through it.
Wow.
And then he ends up going down a street. Police officers are trying to stop him from driving, and he's figuring out ways to maneuver. The whole time he's listening to country music blasting.
No, I mean...
blasting country music.
Not surprising.
Not surprising.
It's like, I love my truck.
But he, like, drives through the parade, and then people are trying to stop him and throwing things at his car. He doesn't care. He just keeps driving. And he's in silent mode this time. Like, he was screaming before.
Wow.
But then now he's, like, dead silent. He drives all the way home, gets there with a breeze. And ends up getting arrested later on. But, like, he made it all the way to his house.
Wow. He was like, GPS. I wasn't going to go that way. It's like the episode of The Office. Did you see that? Where it's like, turn left. And then it's like, Dwight's like, there's a lake, don't go. And it's like, turn left. And he's like, I have to follow it. And he, like, drives into the lake. Wow. That's wild. Yeah, I think, like, my first instinct is, like, okay, like, if people start to get into, like, a bar fight or something, I'm like, if it's, like, aggro, I will leave. Like, I've had places where I'm like, I am out of there faster than it started. Like,
there's moments where you get that intuition that something even bigger could happen.
Right.
And it's like, I don't need to be here for whatever is going to inevitably happen next.
Yeah.
So I'm just
for
sure.
I remember when I first started comedy, I did this show, and the guy who, like, produced it didn't know him well. He was not, like, a big part of the scene. And he booked this space where there was, like, going to be a show right after. So it's like, you got to follow your times or whatever. And the show, right after the headliner, he had booked a headliner. Headliner goes, he gets up on stage and starts doing time. And it's not benefiting the show. Let's just say that. And people are, like, trying to leave. It's terrible. He starts, like, kind of yelling at the audience. And then they cut his mic. The venue cuts his mic because it's going so long. He freaks out, and he grabs a mic, and he threw it into the audience and hit, like, an audience member in the chest. And I was like, I'm out. Bye. This isn't worth it.
Wow.
This $5 I'm making or whatever.
That's, oh, my God. Whenever I say comic... Like, I'm just like, oh, no. Not at work.
Right.
I was like, crash out at home. Like, not at work.
This is a professional environment.
Yeah.
So,
like, don't do this at your job.
Right. It's so true. Comics are crazy. But that's why we love them.
Sensitive. I think that was the very first thing that my boyfriend / Brent Lowry comic said to me, like, literally super early on. Because I had made a joke about somebody in front of their face thinking that it was going to be fine.
Yeah.
They were drunk, and I literally said, you're drunk. Like, and I was like teasing.
Yeah.
But also they were drunk.
Yeah.
And I was new to comedy at the time, and just approaching a group of people that I'm not super familiar with.
Right.
But her boyfriend immediately was like, who are you? Do you even do this? Like, just immediately, went to, like, who are you? Why are you talking to us? And I just remember being in shock, like, oh, shit. Like, I mean, I didn't lie, but also, like, what? And then I remember Brent actually grabbed me, and he was like, hey, comics are sensitive.
Yeah.
And, like, and that was, like, the main bit of advice I got that from that. And I was like, oh, I guess we are the most sensitive group of people.
Yeah.
Truly.
I feel like you can, like, say the most horrendous shit to a comic. And then you can say something like, you're drunk, and they're, like, so personally offended that they'll, like, burn your name to the ground.
Yeah, I did not expect him to just, like, I mean, I didn't know him, so who knows what his character is. He's nice to me now. They're not together.
Yeah.
But now
Name names.
Like,
no, I'm kidding.
they're not together anymore, but he's nice to me now. I think he remembers, like, losing his mind at me for no reason. So he's like, oh, let me just...
Oopsie. I didn't think I'd see you again.
Yeah.
Whoops.
But in that moment, I was like, oh, like, people are sensitive. Because, like, you can say really fucked up stuff to a comedian, and they're fine. You can bring up their past. You can, like, tease them.
Yeah, you can say something about their dead parent.
Yeah, exactly. But sometimes you say the wrong little itty-bitty thing, and then it's like... Or also, I think it's mean to humble someone who just had something good happen in their life.
Right.
I try not to do it, but also I will bring up someone's biggest flaw. And
they just got, like, their first late night show, and you're like, yeah, but your eyes are really far apart.
No, like, there's a comic who ended up getting in some trouble and getting, like, semi-canceled or whatever. Yeah. And I saw him, and I was like, thank God you got canceled.
Oh, shit.
Because it helped me so much in comedy.
You're like, all those gigs you would have got, I've been working. Literally. So thank you.
That's what I said to him. And I was like, I am kidding. But
was he mad?
No, he like smiled about it. He might have been mad.
I feel like some comics you can joke like that with, though, because that's pretty. Like, if you're down with them, I feel like that's pretty funny.
Yeah, but it was funny to be like, oh, you got canceled, and that was the best thing that could have ever happened to me. I got every single gig that you would have gotten. So much money.
And people are like, listen, we need you to know that this would have been his gig, but it's yours now.
Basically.
Okay, so this is, we should wrap it up, but this is, first of all, it's been delightful chatting with you.
Thank you.
So now, would you do me a favor? Would you look into the camera and just, if you have some advice for someone who is currently losing it or just needs help to, like, not lose it as much, what would it be? It can be funny, it can be real, it can be whatever.
Just lose it. I'm just kidding. No.
It's like Nike.
I don't know. My advice for anyone who is, like, losing it is to realize that maybe it's not as justified as you think it is. Sometimes you just need to remove yourself from a situation to realize that losing it is not appropriate. Like, my mom always used to say, is this appropriate behavior for where you're at right now? And sometimes it's not. But sometimes it feels very justified in the moment. I would say if you do lose it, don't hate yourself for it. It happens. Everybody loses it. It's okay. Hopefully you don't lose it with a gun or a knife or something in your hand, pills. Don't lose it like that. Just, it's okay. It's okay. You'll make it.
So I'm hearing, don't bring weapons to the lose it party.
Yeah.
And just lose it if you need to lose it. If it's appropriate, read the room.
Yeah, read the room. Hopefully you don't do it in public or
do, because that could be great material for comics around.
It could, yeah. If a comedian saw me yelling at a homeless man, they could say that. They could say, like, I saw this woman lose it on a homeless man. But
worth it.
Worth it for them.
Thanks for being on the pod.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yes, this has been the manic world of Jaci Terj. Stay manic, my little babies.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.